All right, 11 p.m., another episode of Late Night Builds. So tonight we are going to finish building this desk. So this desk is a very modular desk. I've bolted a couple things to it right now. We have about 3 of these. This one was actually our prototype. We put some others in an install that we did. The idea of this desk is that you can swap out parts, whatever you need, right? It's wooden, drill into it, make holes, whatever. But you can put a rack, you can put drawers for things, right? Carry accessories, you can fit K12s, QSC K12 speakers down in the banks down there, or have milk crates for cables. Kind of just design it however you want. The reason we went with this design is because we felt like it could be used for DJs, for like controllers, CDJs, turntables, you know, put your mics, your mixer, speakers, use it for audio, put a mixer on top, have storage for your microphones and whatnot, use it for video, you can put monitors up on it, use it for lighting controller, an MA board, whatever you need. So that's why we went with this design, little facade to cover up cables. We thought when you do a corporate job, you want to be able to get in and out of all your jobs very quickly, right? So if you had like 3 or 4 of these, one for audio, lighting, video, and so on, you could just line them all up, grab a stool, stand, sit high so you're elevated. You don't need a stage riser or something like that necessarily, and you could get your work done and be able to see what you were looking at, right? So that was the whole idea with this thing. It's square, it fits through doors, it's about 4 feet. This one's slightly longer. Our real ones are slightly, I think exactly 4 foot here. And the whole thing can be built with just 2 8-foot by 4-foot panels of wood. So you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you grab 2 pieces of wood, buy some L brackets, and you probably have this whole thing for like 200 bucks. Throw an extra $100 on for wheels, so now you're at $300, right? So that is this desk. Tonight, whatever time it is, we are building a prom setup control center. So audio is not going in here, but lighting and video is. So that's what I'm kind of built out here. I took some L brackets and I just bent them at an angle, and I have 2 scopes here, all right? I'm gonna loop out of the scope into a wireless transmitter. This is going to transmit to our projectors. We are doing projection mapping at this prom, so this is so I can see what's going to each projector. We are doing a lot of lighting on trussing. So my idea is that I'm gonna have 2 laptops here, right? One of them's gonna be for lighting, the other one's gonna be for video. The way I'm gonna get 4 separate outputs out of one computer without stressing out the laptop is I'm gonna run it through a video wall controller. Basically, this is a splicer. It's gonna take 1 4K feed and splice out 4 1080p feeds or something close to that by just doing 4 quadrants of a 4K image. So that's how this is gonna work. So 1 USB cable goes into here, down to this guy, splices out to 4 different outputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, transmit the signal to the projectors. This way, I can literally, as long as I have an extension cord, literally move this around the ballroom that we're projection mapping in and be able to go closer over here, fine tune some adjustments, move it over here, and then of course, lighting. So I'm also gonna put an ArtNet node down here. That's going to allow me to do multiple universes out via DMX. I will then throw some flare cons in here and be able to do wireless DMX to multiple universes using multiple flare cons. If you guys see any of our other videos, we do a lot of lighting, we do a lot of video, we kind of explain how we do it, how we wire it all. So that's the idea today. So first, I'm just gonna get everything powered, right? So I'm gonna have 2 scopes, 4 transmitters, this rack, 2 computers, maybe a couple USB, right? I have some converters, I have some decimators. So first things, just get everything powered. Then we will run our video signal. The good thing is DMX is very easy in this rack. You're just gonna run 1 Ethernet cable from here to this rack and DMX out to some flare cons. You don't have to run the system wireless at all. I'm choosing to run it wireless for speed. Yeah, basically speed and efficiency, loading in and loading out. That's why we're going wireless. The other good thing is we are not doing any iMag with this system. nor any like live video. So if things are delayed because we're doing wireless, it's not that big of a deal. All of these transmitters are the same, the projectors are the same, every signal flow is all the same. So if we are getting a delay, all of our projectors should be getting the same delay or virtually the same delay. We're talking, milliseconds if that. So I don't expect any of the video or projection mapping, we're not getting that intricate anyway, to look bad based on like a couple millisecond delay. So this will be good. Even for iMag, this would work, but you do run into some issues with that. All right, little SDI cables will be great from looping out of the scopes into the transmitters. That way I know whatever's on that screen is in fact going to that transmitter. The other thing about all this is like, we do tons of different gigs. We don't have an unlimited supply of gear, right? So sometimes we have stuff in Pelicans. Sometimes we have stuff built into a case or a rack. Sometimes we have it in a road case instead of a Pelican. All of our gear moves, which is why everything we do, even if it gets bolted, at some point or another, it's on a quick release, right? And that way I can now take this transmitter, leave the tripod head that we standardize bolted into this, and now I can take this and I can mount this on a different tripod, take it with me portable, and I can always put it back here. So that is how we run things, why we standardize on certain tripod heads, things like that. And again, you see these in our other videos. So you are seeing the gear we use in different circumstances, situations, but it's all the same gear. It just gets moved around. All right, so just wire in some of these guys here. Good thing about the monitors being here is we have decent channel for cables, so a little bit of cable management going on, which is good and easy. And then I did drill 2 holes on the 2 corners out just so I can slot cables down. Again, these are multi-purpose, so if I need this for audio or for something else, I have the channels for them. All right, getting all my transmitters powered. One thing I might do in the future is build like a back door for these, right? Because if I have a bigger rack, and we thought about doing different designs, just going straight down here, put a whole rack there, you can have slots or whatever there. And if, in that case, I would put a back door, but all of our cases are modular, slotted in, slotted out, keeps the front very clean, and we do have these in black and white, so that is nice. All right, those are powered scopes and laptops. All right, you guys remember that rack build, one of my last late night builds? It's down here, and it's completely gutted. Flip it over. So, like I said, we reuse stuff. I didn't have a need. I've moved the A10 Mini Extreme, I've moved the video hub, I've taken out the monitor, so I've gutted the back of this thing pretty well. I'll probably actually reuse some of these SDI cables today for this build, but I need the power for the scope. Same thing over here. I don't think we've done a video on the brand new studio in that office yet, but whenever we do, you'll kind of see all the gear from this tech world being used over there. So, where is this guy? Is that it? No, it's not. Still need to find a use for these hyperdecks. Probably when I build a rack that goes out in the road, I'll use these. But right now we use an A10 Mini Extreme, which can record 8 inputs and a program. And this, all of this can only do 6, but this can do 4K and it does SDI. I mean, it just depends on your use case. All right, so we have everything powered. Now is running signal. So I need to run a USB-C to a hub, out of the hub HDMI into the video wall controller From there, 4 HDMIs into converters, not necessarily decimators, but just converters, convert to SDI, into the scope, loop through the scope to the transmitter. That's a lot of cables. That's what this stuff takes. If that was confusing to you, might want to do more of these builds, watch more videos, things like that. But yeah, it's a lot of cables. I have people who I consult with and they're building their own setups. They're like, I didn't realize how many cables this stuff took. It's like, yeah, if you want maximum capabilities, if you want redundancies, if you want things to be like what I see on the screen, 100% goes to the transmitter, you use cables, and it's not just a splitter. You don't just split one thing to everything and you're good. You individually route every single cable. Installs are the same way. We run 20 different cameras. We don't just jump between cameras. We run 20 different cameras in the ceiling, down 2 floors, into the basement, into a locked room, into a DVR, and each one gets recorded individually. That way, if any cable breaks in the chain, you don't lose all of your cables. You don't lose all of your POS systems. You just lose one individual thing and everything else is working as it should. Let's run some signal. SDI, so I am threading it through the hole here. I am running it to the back of these scopes, which are already looping through into the transmitters. Once I get these wired in, unfortunately these scopes don't take anything but SDI. Otherwise I could do this whole thing with HDMI and it would make my life a little bit easier. But SDI is locking, it's professional. Don't really have to worry about it. But you need converters. So then I need to use guys like this and run these SDI out. And finally, I need to take an HDMI cable like this, a shorty, and run it from the back of this video wall controller into the converter. Lots of cables, lots of conversions, lots of adapters. It's kind of how you play this game. So HDMI input, and coming out of the back of here, 4 different spots. Plug it into number 3 because that's scope number 3. And I'll do the same for scope number 4. And then this side will be wired. In retrospect, I probably should have made these like be on a pivot, like on a piano hinge. Oh well. It was cheap and I had the L brackets sitting in a drawer. That's honestly how I do most of my builds. It's just what I have lying around. That's what I end up using. Luckily, we have a lot of stuff lying around from a bunch of previous builds and whatnot, so I usually have something close to what I need. Like the L brackets actually didn't fit these screws, so I just drilled out a bigger hole in the L bracket and made it work. Not the easiest to get to. Cool. Got that. All right, so this is number 1. It's my SDI out. One thing you do have to worry about with these decimators is you always got to check your settings. SDI outsource, HDMI in. Good. HDMI outsource. SDI in. Okay, so I can use it in 2 different directions. We'll be fine. I always like to put one of these decimators in my mix. That way, if I need to transmit, like I know one of my projectors only takes 1080i because it's older and that's just what it needs. So I'll just make sure to plug that projector into, let's say, scope number 1. I can run my conversion here and I don't need a converter or a decimator on the projector side. So just kind of planning for the future. When I do a lot of these builds, I run into problems on site, so I kind of know what to look for. And yeah, I am putting a $300 converter instead of a $100 or $60 converter, but it helps me long term because it speeds up everything. That way I just put the receivers on the projectors and I don't have to convert at the projector level, which is nice. All right, let's plug these guys in. Sweet. All right. now I gotta cable manage this guy so I can put this rack back up here. Which essentially, in one way, just means sliding all this stuff back without getting anything unplugged. So which way does this go? Like this. Oh, should have locked the wheels. Oh well. There we go. And then all I really need to put in here is my ArtNet node, which is 4 universes on the bottom, which I will do shortly. All right, there's my cable. One cable split out into 4 different feeds. I do need to plug an Ethernet cable in to change all these to video. That one's on a scope. But let's boot this guy up. I'll use this laptop for all the video. I could run everything off one laptop. Actually, it would probably be fine. I might do that. I like splitting things up. It just makes people's brains easier because I'm not gonna be here doing it all. So saying this laptop's for video, touch it if you want to change that. This laptop's for lighting, touch it if you want to do that. Makes life easy. Redundancy, backups, things like that. So I'll stick with 2, but I could do everything and I'll probably test everything with just 1. All right, so I'm setting up. I'm just gonna put something different on each one. I go into Mad Mapper like I've done in the past, and I go and create a projector, and I realize that this thing can detect that this is a matrix like splitter, switcher, splicer, and can detect the 4 separate outputs, which means Mad Mapper just sees this as 4 individual TVs, not one output that I'm going to like forcibly splice into 4 different destinations. So all I do is I go here and I select a different feed, and I can go ahead and I can create a quad. I'll move the projector over like this and go back here, can take this quad, move it over to the other one, set something different to it. And Mad Mapper just treats it as 4 separate 1080p feeds, even though I only have one 4K feed coming out of the computer. So that's awesome. It's less stress on the computer. Let me just finish and do it with all 4 here. Suites, 1, 2, 3, 4. Create a new quad. Drag it over here, pull this over, got my lines going. I'll create one more quad. I will create one more projector. And again, I like using, I like taking software, tools, things like that, using them for a purpose different from what they were intended for, right? Certain pros and cons in doing that, obviously. But using projection mapping software with TVs or video walls or things like that can be very cool, as well as I use it for lighting. And so it allows me, all right, 4 separate feeds, all from one computer, from one cable. That's awesome. It was really easy to do, right? But I can take all 4 of these guys here and I can create one type of media like this, and I can even overlay them all this way. Okay, so that's that quad there. That's 3. This is 2, and this is 1. Take all of them, put them here. And let's make one of these lines like red so it's obvious. So now we can see this one line going across all the screens, right? It's like really easy to do. So I'm very happy that Mad Mapper was able to detect that this was a matrix splicer, matrix splicer. It was able to detect all 4 separate outputs and really easily just allow me to push content to the 4 individual screens. That's awesome. So what I'll use this on site as is I'll have each one of these will be outputting to a separate projector. They'll be pointing at a giant wall, all wireless signal to them. And right here, I can see what each projector should be getting, so I can tell if it's doing the right thing or the wrong thing, if my routing is messed up or some way. But at least here, I can kind of pre-program some stuff, and then when I get on site, I can adjust it. So yeah, super pumped about that. That was a great thing to realize, and that's just how things go. And this is MadMapper 4. I have MadMapper 5. I'm using it in some other places. I'll probably upgrade or put it on another computer. So super pumped about that. I love it when things surprise me and are better than how I expected them. So thank you, MadMapper. Thank you, video wall controllers and tech, for working correctly for once. That's it for this video. We got it all up and running. We got some of it wired, and I will try to post more often, smaller, shorter videos, little tutorials, seeing something like this built in the warehouse or the studio out on site. Hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you guys have any questions on these things. Reach out for a consultation, whatever. I'm tired, I'm going to sleep. Good night.